serving static content, which will be things like HTML files, CSS, JS files, and things like that with Nginx in a Docker environment. So if you want to learn more, stick with me. Hello and what's up guys, Medium Guy here. Welcome to the next video in the Nginx video series. So right before I start this video, just don't forget to watch the other videos in this Nginx video series where you can learn about all cool features that Nginx provides in its open source version. So you can find things like rate limiting, load balancing, and things like that. So in this specific video, we're going to see how to serve static content, which will be things like single page applications or static HTML files and stuff like that with Nginx as the web server. So without any delay, let's get down to work. So basically the thing that will happen is that we've got some static content, things like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or simply just things like images and videos and media contents like this, and we'll have this on the same server that Nginx will be running on. And actually by using the root directive, we're going to define the path that holds all these static files, and by putting that root directive inside a location block, we'll be able to actually serve those contents. So as I said, the root directive is one of the directives that we can use to define the directory that will hold our static content. So in order to see this in action, I'll move to the VS Code over here, where I've got all the files and configurations that I'll put in my GitHub repository, for which you can find the link in the description section down below. So as you can see, I've got an nginx.conf file, a dockercompose file, and a front directory that holds an index.html file, and as its child, another index.html file inside this directory. So we'll come back to this files directory later in this video. So in the dockercompose file, as you can see, I've got only one service, which is Nginx, that is using the Nginx 1.21-alpine image, and it has 3 volumes that is mounted to it, one being the nginx.conf file, which we'll see in a moment, to the /etc nginx.conf file inside the container, which is the default file for Nginx to try to configure itself, and the /front directory to /var www front inside the container. Again, it will be the directory that will hold our HTML files, and the /files again to the /var www files inside the container, which is a directory that will hold some static files. Again, we'll come back to this later in this video. So in the ports section, I've got only one port that is mapped to exact same port inside the container, and this is exactly the port that I'll later configure Nginx to start listening on. So as a result, the Nginx inside the container will be reachable from the outside network. So going to the index.html file, you can see that it is a very basic HTML file with a h1 tag that says parent inside it, and the other index.html file, which is inside the child directory, is kind of the same HTML file, but in the h1 tag it says child as the content. So moving to the nginx.conf file, as always I've got an HTML block over here, and inside it there's a server block which listens on port 9999, which is the exact same port that is mapped to outside the container in the dockercompose file. Next, I've got the client max body size, which is set to 64 megabytes, and is the configuration for the maximum size of the request that will be received by Nginx. So on the location block for the /path, which is the root path, I've got the root directive over here, which is pointing to the /var www front inside the container. So this is exactly the same directory that I mapped the front directory from my laptop to inside the container, which holds the HTML files. So by using the add header directive and setting the access control allow origin to star, we actually define the course headers, and by setting it to star, we define that any domain is valid to make requests to this web server. So over here, by using the try files, we are trying to define the files to be searched in this directory, which will actually be the file that will be sent back as the response to the client. So by saying $URI, first we'll try to return back the exact same requested files back to the client. If it is not found in this directory, then we'll look for the exact same URI with the slash at the end, because maybe the user is requesting for a path and not a exact file. So basically by doing this, we define Nginx to look to the exact path that the client is making the request. Again, if that path is not found in this directory, we're going to send back the slash index.html file, which will be appended to this location over here. So basically by saying slash index.html file, Nginx will try to return back the slash var www slash front slash index.html file. So as you can see, basically the root directive and try files will try to append their location and the file name that is defined over here. So basically this configuration is best for single page applications, in which it is the client-side JavaScript that is loaded to the browser is actually handling the routes and not the web server itself. So basically for each request that is received by the web server, the index.html will be sent back to the client, and the client-side JavaScript, maybe in a React application or any other frameworks like Angular and things like that, will be actually handling the routes and showing the relevant components for the client. So lastly, by using the index directive over here and passing in the index.html or index.htm, we define the default files for Nginx to look for in this given directory over here. So basically when the client makes a request to a path and does not define, like for example index.html at the ending of the URL, this directive over here will be handling the appending of index.html at the end of that requested URL. So in order to test this, I'll move to the terminal, hit ls to make sure I'm in the exact same directory, and by saying dockercompose up-d, I should see that it tries to create a network and the Nginx container itself attaching to that newly created network. So by saying dockercompose ps, I should be able to see the containers that are created by this dockercompose file, and as you can see, the status is up and the exact same defined port is mapped to exact same port inside the container. So right now if I go to Chrome, hit localhost port 9999, I should be able to see the parent, which is the index.html file that is located in the slash var www slash front. So as you can see, also if I say index.html, I am able to get exactly the same result. So basically the index directive over here is the directive that will handle this action. So if I say child, and again as you can see, I didn't define the slash index.html at the end, but it actually returns back the index.html file inside the child directory. So basically the try files will actually append the requested URI to the end of this directory over here, which as a result will be slash var www front slash child, and the index directive will try to append the index.html at the end of that, and as a result I'll be able to see the index.html file inside the child directory even if I don't specify the index.html file in my requested URL. So as the last point, we're going to see how to serve static content using the alias directive. So over here you can see that I've added a location block to slash files, and this time I'm using the alias directive to slash var www files, which is the exact directory inside the container that I have mapped the ./files next to my dockercompose file. As you can see, it holds a file which is a simple txt file, but actually it can be any extension possible, like for example videos, images, audios, and any other stuff. So in order to test this, I'll save this file, go back to the terminal over here, by saying nginx-s reload, I'll be able to send the reload signal to Nginx to reload its configurations. So if I hit enter, you can see that the reload signal is successfully received by Nginx inside the container. So right now, if I go to the browser, hit /files/file.txt, as a result, you can see that I get the content of the file that exists inside the /files directory. So again, if I create a directory inside the files directory and copy paste this file to inside the child directory, the alias directive will automatically handle the root and try files and index directive by itself. So if I go back to the Chrome, try to make a request to /files child/file.txt, as you can see, I get the exact same result even if I didn't define the try files and root directives and things like that. So we've got some other configurations over here by setting the auto index to on. Like if I remove the /file.txt at the end of the URL, you can see that I get the directory listing of the /files/child, and actually I get a list of the files that are available inside the /child directory. So basically, if I don't set the auto index to on and I make the exact same request to this URL, I won't be able to see the directory listing and get a 404 as the result of my request. And by setting the auto index exact size and auto index local time, I configure the alias to show some additional information in the directory listing, as we can see over here. So that's all for this video. I hope you learned something new in this one, and if you have any questions and any recommendations, of course go ahead and ask me in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to give a visit to my channel where you can find other videos about other cool technologies and also other cool features that Nginx provides in its open source version in this video series about Nginx itself. So if you found the content useful, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to help grow the channel and motivate me to create more free contents like this on YouTube. So with that, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next videos.